The purpose of this video is to introduce you to the new placeholder and text options available for both the iPhone and iPad version 3.0 of iClick, iTalk. What you see here is the default view of iClick, iTalk with all the pictures adjacent to one another, both in the categories and in the categories that enter. All the pictures are adjacent. But if you enter the activity page, a new option in images is to add a placeholder. And in doing so, when you add a placeholder, you will see that we have created a space. This would be helpful because some children, it may be a problem when the images are adjacent to one another. So by creating placeholders, we are spreading the images out somewhat. This can also be done if we enter the category and add a placeholder. The placeholder is always added at the top, but you may reposition the placeholder. And you'll see now, if we enter the category, we have a space so that the images are not adjacent to one another. We have an example here in the hygiene category. How we have spaced out the images so that they are somewhat less distracting as they are not adjacent. You can combine this with the other new setting, which is to change to full view and make large images. And entering the hygiene category, you will see that we can focus just on a few images at a time, and for some students this may be very helpful. As you can see, with a few clicks we have returned to the main interface. Another new option that we would like to introduce is the text option. In the default view here, you see both the image and then the word underneath the image. But in the new option here, we can create a new text image using only words and no pictures. So we're going to create a new category called Family. And then we could, if we wanted to, record the audio, Family. If we enter that category, we can add some text images. Dad. We'll add another. John. So now we go back to our interface. We have the new category with no image, just the word, Family. And then we have John and Dad. So in this case, we are trying to develop the language skills by focusing just on the words rather than the pictures. We're going to do the food category to show you the progression. So in one example, we have just the muffin as an image. Then we have the muffin with the word attached. We have just the word muffin. And then to develop the language skills, you can add more than one line of text, and we see we've become more refined to say a pumpkin muffin. And this is to develop the language skills of our students. So finally, we're going to create another option by combining both our placeholder and our text options. And in this case, we're going to create a new response environment. We're going to add a placeholder in our categories. And we're going to enter that category and create a new text option. One for yes. Yes, and another for no. No. So we've recorded those two options. And going back, you see this is an invisible category. But when we click on that category, we have these two responses. No. Or. Yes. And if we now combine that with going to some of the larger images, yes. And we've minimized our categories, the student has the opportunity to just focus on these two responses, true or false, yes or no, up or down, and without having any of the adjacent interferences, just focusing on these two responses. This concludes this video on the new placeholder and text options with some examples on how to apply them in the iClick iTalk environment.